What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about Opendoor. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what is really moving it, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So the market opened roughly 30 minutes ago. It is down 3.81%, which is rather odd given what came out over the weekend. So even during the overnight trading, and for the most part, even the pre-market, it showed signs that Opendoor was really going to move higher. And what's very interesting is this sell-off, there really hasn't been anything that did come out during this morning to really justify this sell-off, because we did have some data first thing, which was right over here, the New York Empire State Manufacturing Index, which came in at negative 3.9. So ultimately, that does signal that there was more of a contraction. Market didn't seem to care because the market actually moved higher during the pre-market when this did come out. The only other thing that potentially could be really impacting the broader market is the fear over this. So I kind of brought this up in some of my other videos, but Bank of Japan interest rate decision. So right now there is a consensus that they're going to be raising it 25 basis points. And not only that though, that's going to be the start of many more hikes. So at the end of the day, that is going to cause a little bit of a pinch on the American bond market, and thus through that eventually to the equity market. So that could potentially be one reason why you're seeing a little bit of a pullback. But interestingly enough, Opendoor did put out news early this morning, and that was this right here. So this is very more of a comical kind of comment, but Opendoor names president and CFO to accelerate next chapter. So kind of goes over to new executive appointments, but they do name right over here Christie as the CFO effective January 1st, 2026. So this is now 3 times Christie has been named in PRs, and this is 3 times that the market sells off. I get it, the market, it's not just Opendoor that's selling off, everything and their dog is going down, but I cannot be the only one to piece this together. Every time Christie is named in a PR, Opendoor sells off. So in general, again, it could be nothing, could be something, but clearly Wall Street is fearful right now, and plus doesn't seem to like Christie all that much. Or again, it just might be a very odd coincidence. Let me know your general thoughts on that. Aside from what I brought up over the weekend, which mind you was absolutely amazing news, I do feel that this is a good dip to potentially buy, especially in Opendoor's case, based on what Kaz said again over the weekend. So let me know your general thoughts on that. I see some individuals saying that it's shorts that's kind of the culprit on why Opendoor is going down. Not necessarily the case. So right now, 630 is the low, 667 is the high, and 12 million shares being traded. So kind of a low volume day, but only 34,000 shares is being increased by shorts. So obviously shorts aren't that big of a deal for today. So as much as I'd love to say yes, it is shorts, they're the reason for all of this pain and everything else, it's not necessarily the case, especially in Opendoor. But 14.08% of the free floats being shorted, works to be 110.17 million shares overall are being shorted. So still fairly heavily shorted. Shorts surprisingly have been returning quite a lot, as I've mentioned in previous videos. Aside from that, looking at the options, we are seeing 802,000 in calls, 291,000 in puts, so kind of high volume. 45% of all the options being done though are bearish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be still above 7, so that's good to see some optimism. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 650. Right now, these are some of the transactions occurring on the secondary market. So interestingly enough, you actually did see some institutions, like a string of buying right here, and then a couple of sells. But yeah, in my opinion, big money is kind of buying the Opendoor dip. Of course, it's not really doing that big of a deal or any damage, because the biggest thing right now in this day and age, especially in a lower environment or a lower volume environment, is algorithmic trading. Like if the AI feels that there's a negative thing coming out, or potentially negative data already coming out, such as the manufacturing data this morning, then it's going to sell off the whole market. And unfortunately, like not much, like people can't really do too much about it. It's really a crappy scenario. But these are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool above $100,000. So it goes to show as well, hedge funds are fairly active. A lot of the hold numbers are linked to them. But still not really much happening from shorts with it right now at 627. So it looks like it's kind of escalating a little bit. It is trading between this S1 and this S2. So 620 and then followed by 574 is going to be support levels. So for those of you that want to day trade or swing trade dollar cost average, just kind of watch for those points. Flip side, 649, 696 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points, which is rather dumb because I do believe during the overnight trading it was up like very, very high. So this sell-off is very dumb if you ask me. And like I said, it could just be a lot of fear. This same type of sell-off linked to Japan did actually occur. I believe it was mid 2024 when we had a across the board 10% red day. So I feel like the same type of fear is kind of rolling over, and whatever, that's what's happening today. Aside from all that fun stuff, quickly popping over here, this is not Opendoor. So pulling up Opendoor right now, as of the time doing this video, it is below that 100-day moving average. So that typically is a very big deal, and you can kind of see the next moving average is going to be that 200-day moving average sitting at 369. So not saying it's going to be hit, but that is going to be pretty much the next strong one to really watch for. So best case scenario, you see Opendoor get bought up and hopefully close above this 100-day moving average, which is currently sitting at 643. So it's not too far-fetched to kind of feel that it can kind of push higher, but nonetheless, if it is able to fight back and stay within this range, there will be a pinch most likely by the end of this week, as the 10 and also the 100-day moving averages will be converging. So definitely a lot of elements to kind of watch for. Looking at the market position for today, comparing it to last Friday, you see a little bit more willing sellers, more in the short term, kind of roughly between that 680 and where we are now. And the number of buyers really haven't changed all that much. Aside from that, there really hasn't been all that much in articles, aside from kind of just some that are reiterating exactly what just came out from Opendoor. So let me know your viewpoint. Are you buying the dip? Are you selling? I gotta admit that today is definitely a very big letdown. I did have a lot of high expectations for Opendoor, and when I was kind of looking at the pre-market, I was kind of excited that this was going to possibly even test that 7+ range, but obviously we know kind of the narrative changes very fast with the broader market, and with algorithmic trading being as powerful as it is, it can move anything very fast. So let me know your thoughts on Opendoor. Are you buying? Are you selling? One final thing, pop over to my stacked account if you're looking for some on-point buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. So definitely pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.